There's no words for places like this. Oh, look at that sky. Holy sh.
Timing is so important with seascape photography, and there are 3 ways that timing is absolutely critical. Let's talk about why, and then we are going to experience one of the most incredible sunrises that I have ever seen.
Man, look at this. So very rarely do I ever just get down to a place and I find a composition right away that I like so much that I just don't want to go anywhere else. And this spot here that I just found is it. So I'm gonna set up here, wide angle lens, and oh man, what a beauty of a spot. All right, so I think we have the potential for an absolutely beautiful sunrise. I'm hoping for it. It's just past the full moon, unfortunately. We just missed it a couple of days ago. Seascape photography is so important when it comes to planning. One of the things, of course, like I said, is timing. Timing is everything. I wanted to be here for high tide and sunrise. So before I even came on this trip out here to beautiful San Diego, I was looking at the tides and seeing when high tide would meet with either sunrise or sunset. Now, I prefer sunrise just because there's less people. Today, the absolute high tide is about an hour and a half after sunrise, but I think it's close enough. I'm gonna get some nice splashing up onto these amazing patterns in the rocks. This area here is one of my favorite places to come to. And as the tide's coming up right now, the water's crashing up into these rocks and then falling back down in, and there's just so many things happening that are so interesting. So one of the things that I like to do when I'm planning is use something called the Magic Seaweed app. This tells you when the high tides are, when the low tides are, what the swell is looking like. It's mostly a surfing app actually, but I like it for planning my seascape trips. This big splash comes in and I have this little gap in the rock that's facing southwest. The sun's obviously coming up from the southeast here. It's winter time, and the first thing with Magic Seaweed and knowing when the tide is coming up is important for one. First, most importantly, is going to be safety. I know the tide's coming up. I know it's going to get worse as the sun rises. I'm always watching the ocean at all times. I never want to turn my back on the ocean. I always want to keep an eye on it. So that's first and foremost, safety. The second is understanding my location, where I'm at. So different kind of beach breaks, whether it's a reef break or a beach break, certain areas have bigger waves depending on the tide. So knowing your area, knowing where you're at is important if you're doing certain types of seascapes. For here, I just want to know that I'm at high tide and the light is good. That's it. So sunrise, and it's going to be almost high tide, so I'm going to have the action that I'm looking for as far as these rocks go. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to timing is the actual wave itself. Now, timing when you want to snap the photo. With this kind of shot here, the wave is an entire event, right? As it comes in, it crashes, and then it flows back out again. There's so many things that happen within this little, couple of second time frame. I want to capture every single bit of it. Normally when I'm doing landscape photography, I like to have a 2-second delay, so I'm not touching the camera. But with seascape photography, at least this type of seascape photography, I don't like to do that. What I prefer to do is either have a trigger release, which I forgot at home, so something I can plug into the camera, or use my iPhone app. For Nikon, it's SnapBridge. Bam, right there. Oh, got hit. As the waves are crashing back out again, I'm just holding down this shutter button. I'm on continuous high. Usually I end up with a lot of photos, but that's okay. I don't mind having so many photos, and I end up just blending them, taking the ones that I like instead of trying to time each wave. And this is the timing part. This takes away having to try and wait for that 1 or 2 second delay when you hit the shutter, timing the wave perfectly when it comes in. I can just hold down the shutter button, and like I said, it's much better to use a remote trigger of some kind, whether it's a corded one you plug into the camera, a remote one, or your iPhone, and just fire off shots. Half of a second is a really good shutter speed, and that's the third part of timing. The right shutter speed is so important here. You don't want to have it too long to where you're losing detail, but you also don't want to have it too short where you're just freezing the action. I like that little bit of combination where you have a long exposure, so you're getting that nice motion in the water, but it's not too long to where you lose all the detail. Now that's a fine photo. You know, you have those really nice fine art photos that have the, you know, 8-minute exposure, and I like those too. But in this situation, I'm wanting to capture the action of what's going on with the waves. That's the big draw here for me. The big draw is the action in the wave. It isn't, you know, having a fine art feel or trying to capture a mood. I'm trying to capture the power of the ocean. I'm trying to capture the power of the wave crashing onto these rocks here. And the way to do that, I think, is to have a shorter shutter speed while still maintaining the look of the motion in the water. Oh, we got some big stuff coming in here now. So I'm gonna hold on to the shutter as this whole wave's crashing through. And oh yeah, here we go, here we go. Here's a big one. And when things like this happen where you're crashing, the waves crashing around you, hold your footing. Don't try and run. We're in a safe spot here. And just as the waves are coming back out now we have all of these leading lines and the waves rushing back out to the ocean. Oh, look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. Look at the sky. Oh. So I'm gonna play around a little bit with the different shutter speeds, but between like 1/5 to like 1 second, I think is usually pretty good when it comes to shutter speeds for any water in general when you're wanting to save a little bit of that detail. So just remember, timing is everything. From when you're planning your trip, looking at the tides, understanding your location and what your location brings as far as the tide goes, the timing of the actual waves and when you take the photo, depending on the look you're going for and what you're going for. And then of course, timing your shutter speed, getting the look that you want. Everything needs to be planned out, I think. Of course, you gotta have room for creativity and just kind of letting your eye wander and not just having a rigid schedule or a rigid plan or a rigid shot in mind. But planning can really help out with a lot of things when it comes to this style of photography. All right, the light is starting to get good now. I'm starting to be able to drop my ISO down. I'm at 250. And so, yeah, oh man, look at this. This is absolutely incredible. Also, one of the things I want to talk about here is exposure. When it comes to this type of seascape photography, when you have all these waves crashing, like if I'm taking my meter right now is showing that I'm properly exposed, actually a little underexposed with all of this dark rock. But the problem is when these waves all crash up and there's so much white water, that exposure changes. You have to anticipate that. So I'm underexposing just a little bit, and then when the waves all crash and you have all this white water, I'm properly exposed. And this takes a little bit of time and a little bit of a guesswork when it comes to exposure, but I think this helps out a lot for me anyway. Now my focus point is about 1/3 into the frame, and I'm at f7.1 now, 1/2 of a second, and ISO 160, and I'm just adjusting the ISO. Oh man, look at that. And it gets that little poof whenever it hits this area right here, so I have to keep wiping off my camera. And always have your lens cloths with you. Oh, we got some big waves coming in here. Oh my goodness. This is incredible. All right, I'm gonna have to hold on to you guys here. Gotta hold on to both tripods while I do this, because oh man, this is it. This is it. Oh, look at that sky. Also, keep your lens cloths with you. So I have this. A buddy of mine actually has these. It's called the Mist Defender. I'll put a link to it. I got an affiliate link for Amazon. I think they're on Amazon now. So these are called the Mist Defenders. It's on a little cord. One thing that I cannot just get over with seascape photography is how by literally the millisecond, everything is changing. Whether it's the tides, whether it's how the waves crash, how everything looks, it's constantly changing, the light's changing. It's such a dynamic way to shoot photography, and that is just everything changing by the second. The light, the action of the waves, the exposure, there's no words. For places like this, here at sunrise when there's nobody here, because San Diego is a very crowded place when it comes to visiting the beaches and stuff. Like I said, I'm here in January. We actually got here last night. We were actually visiting the Scripps Pier. I took a couple of shots. I'll show you guys. Beautiful spot, but man, it was a madhouse. You know, it was a Sunday afternoon, but it was just, I couldn't even imagine weekends in the summertime. Oh, I wouldn't even dream of coming here. But now with sunrise, there's like 2 surfers that are heading out right now. It's just me, Chris is over there actually shooting, and the seagulls, and that is it. There's some sandpipers over here too. Oh man, absolutely incredible. Woo! Oh man, that one got me good. So I move up just a little bit closer and get absolutely hammered with a wave. Did I get it on camera? Oh, I got it on camera. I got the wave crashing right into the camera. Woo! Man, that's exciting.